Hey, what's up guys? Tony with VentureTube. I haven't made an episode of 2-Tip Tuesday lately, so I figured I'd give you a couple of tips even though it's not Tuesday. So check these 2 tips out. I think they're going to help you out a lot. Come on. If you're a bass fisherman, or if you're a serious bass fisherman, you have spinner baits in your tackle box. This is one I just purchased. It's all red, the blades are red, and the whole bait is red, so it's pretty cool. So I've never seen nothing like that before, so I picked it up. Anyway, what this is about is being able to quickly change your spinner baits when you're out there kayak fishing, because time is what we don't have. We're busy doing other things, so we want to keep our bait in the water as long as possible. So I'll show you a little trick. Let's say you're on the water and you want to change out this bait. What do? Well, you're going to cut your line like that, and you're going to go to your spinnerbait tackle box, whatever it is you keep your spinner baits in, and you're going to tie on a new one. And it takes time, cutting knots off, yada yada yada. Okay, so this is what I'm fixing to show you. Now I normally don't fish with swivels, okay, little snap swivel, and I don't normally use one this large, but for demonstration purposes, this is what I'm going to be using, so you guys can hopefully get a better view of that. But just your standard little swivel with your snap connecting loop thing right there. Let's tie it on the line. Just going to use a Palomar knot. If you guys don't know what a Palomar knot is, then definitely need to look it up. It's one of my favorite knots. I think it's probably one of the strongest, and I'm so good at tying it, like you can see right there. We'll speed this up. Okay, so now we have a swivel tied on, but you're probably thinking, well Tony, you can't use a swivel with the spinnerbait. So why can't you use the swivel with the spinnerbait? Well, because this right here will happen. See how that's sliding back and forth? It'll get tangled up in your blades and your casting. You can't have that happen. So the easy solution to that is to take some tubing. Here's a little piece of black vinyl tubing. I believe this come off of an aquarium, or actually I'm not sure where this came from, but I had it lying around. And all you need to do is cut with a pair of scissors or a razor knife just a small little section. Okay, and what you're going to end up with is just a small little section of the tube like that. Hopefully that's in focus. You're going to take that little section, you're going to slide it over the end of your spinnerbait, just like that. You're going to take your swivel, you're going to put it back on, just like you normally would, and snap it in place. Now, your swivel can't go anywhere because of that piece of rubber tube. Now you can quickly change out your spinner baits without having to retie your knot. Another tip on this, the smaller the tube, the tighter a fit you'll get around the wire of the spinner bait. And obviously you don't want to use a swivel this large. Definitely go smaller. But this is just for demonstration purposes, as I stated earlier. So hopefully you guys can see that, and hopefully that'll help you out. Now you'll be able to change your baits a lot quicker out there on the water when you're kayak fishing. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2. You guys have probably seen my do-it-yourself rod floats. That's the little piece of foam that's taped onto the rod right around this section right here to make sure you get your rod back if you were to drop it in your kayak. You don't want it to sink and lose your rod. What I have done is I've relocated that section right here, the little foam section, to the butt of the rod. Now why did I do that? There's 3 main reasons. Number 1 is my line no longer gets tangled up in the foam up here. I used electrical tape. I used the little Velcro adhesive self-wrapping Velcro strips. Either one, my line somehow still seemed to get tangled up in it when I was casting or reeling it in or working the bait. It always seemed to get tangled, and that was very frustrating. So what I did, was move it to the back. Another reason I moved this to the back was it also helped to balance the rod. It just puts a little bit extra weight on the back end of the rod, so it actually helps to keep my rod more balanced in my hand, which in turn on long fishing days is less fatiguing. Third, when I'm Texas rig fishing or I'm, finesse fishing, that float being tight around the rod actually took away from the sensitivity of the rod. I couldn't feel as much through the rod as I can with it being relocated toward the end. That is huge. I can really tell the difference between a rock and a stump, or sand and mud bottom. Before I still could, but it made it a little more difficult with it being on the front. So you guys have watched my video. If you haven't, I'll put a link in the description, but the rod will still float. You'll still be able to get to it, and this is out of the way. It actually gives a little cushion too when you're putting it in your rod holders in your kayak, and you actually have a little cushion up against your arm too. So take those rod floats off up here and put them back here, and it's going to make a world of difference for you, and it's going to work a lot better for you. All right guys, that about wraps up this episode of 2-Tip Wednesday. So hope this helped you out. Make sure to like it, make sure to share it, and if you're new to the VentureTube channel, make sure to subscribe. I enjoy all you guys' comments. I read every one of them, and I thank you so much for all your support. You guys are the most loyal fans ever, and I highly appreciate it. So you guys get out there. I hope you can use my tips when you're out there yakking. Be safe, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Come on.